Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Film Digest with your hosts Brandon Jimenez
and Henry Gonzalez.
This week we'll be giving you the scoop on Hollywood and what movies are out now.
So with that out of the way, Brandon, let's start the show. So Brandon, I think the best place to start for this week is a piece of news from Henry Selick, the director of Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, he recently announced that he has had an amazing idea for a prequel for Nightmare Before Christmas, the 30-year-old classic, for over a decade now. And he's been waiting to admit it after talks with Tim Burton. And recently he said he has a great idea and he wants to make something out of it, but he will not do it without Tim Burton's permission. It's pretty cool, right?
That's interesting, yeah. I definitely feel like Tim Burton has this real interesting approach with world building, especially in movies in general.
Right.
And I find this interesting, like the two people clashing to see if this movie is going to get made. Yeah, let's see what the master thinks of it.
Right. I mean, Tim Burton supposedly has stated that he would be against it because, why mess with perfection, that kind of attitude. And I think while it's respectable, maybe it's worthy to entertain the idea at least, right? A good prequel could fit into any story as long as it's done right. So Nightmare Before Christmas, do you think it's one of those that you could, sequel?
I mean, I think you can because it's more like a Disney movie. Like in terms of a Tim Burton movie and a Disney movie, it's more Disney, slightly less Tim Burton. I'm only saying that because, The Corpse Bride, I feel like that's more of a Tim Burton movie, and Frankenweenie, that's more of a Tim Burton movie as well, because he has that real, almost noir, but not neo-noir. He has, that fantasy noir style. So I feel like for the sake of Disney and franchising it, that could be an interesting approach. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be better than the first movie, but it's going to be a good movie. And if anything, I think maybe they should make an indirect sequel to it.
Right. Like a spin-off almost?
Yeah, maybe that'll be a better idea, but
to build on that world that Tim Burton created.
Yeah, so that way, recycling worlds is a very tricky thing to do.
Right.
And I feel like if he's don't destroy a masterpiece, maybe make another world in the Halloween land. Make another story, not world, in the Halloween land that you can tell a story on. And I feel like that'll give a different approach.
Well, that's been a long time classic for my childhood, at least growing up. I always loved watching that movie, so to hear that there could be a good idea for a prequel from Henry Selick himself, I think that's worth, its time. I think that's worth thinking about, especially from Tim Burton's point of view. Though, I am also taking a hands-off approach. I think it's perfect the way it is, and I don't know if, it's worthy of a sequel. Anyway, in other news, Sam Neill has recently been diagnosed with a rare form of blood cancer that's supposedly difficult for him to battle, and it's also been a struggle for him and his family. And it looks rough for him. He recently stated that he's not afraid to die, but he's horrified to even think of retiring from acting.
That's what I like about That's what I like about acting, or actors who take their profession really seriously, like Sam, because although he has this really difficult decision, this really difficult disease that's going to take a toll on him, he still wants to do what he loves, and he still wants to partake in what he's partaking in. I feel like that goes to show with Chadwick Boseman when he got the cancer that nobody knew about. It makes an impact when you, despite your diseases, despite everything, you still want to make your dreams last. I think it's a really important message.
Right, to live your life as if you weren't sick at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right, to live out your days like it's your last.
I think, he has a very interesting approach with it, yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely respectable, for Sam Neill to want to continue acting amid this disease. And, I personally, and I think most people really do admire him for this conscious act, and I think that Sam Neill definitely deserves to be in everyone's books a lot more when they're considering, best actors now.
So Henry, speaking on whether actors are retiring or not, Michael Caine actually came out recently saying that he's retired. He's at the age of 90, and with his film The Great Escaper, his co-star Glenda Jackson recently passed away, and he's made the heavy decision to retire, like I just said.
Right. I mean, Glenda Jackson's passing definitely played a role in his decision, and he's also stated that he's been wanting to over the last couple of years, but he stayed silent about it, and probably because of Christopher Nolan, giving him great roles, giving him great scripts, and a bunch of other roles. I think everyone really knew him for The Dark Knight, but he had been an amazing actor his whole life, playing in British movies, now American films, and seeing him in this one last British film, The Great Escaper, you can see that he's really been focused on acting his whole career. And I mean, to anyone that's respectable, following a profession to the age of 90 is a feat in and of itself. So his decision to retire isn't a controversial one. He's definitely reached way past, the normal standard for people's retirement age. But it is still a heavy decision that everyone still considers to be, a big one, something worth talking about. And I think that Michael Caine's decision to retire, especially after the passing of Glenda Jackson, an amazing actress over the course of, cinema for the last 60 years plus, we could definitely see, that generation starting to simmer down.
I feel like when we're contrasting Sam Neill and Michael Caine, it's really interesting what we see, because it's like somebody takes a voluntary stop for acting when everything's like normal, right, for him.
Right.
He's just gone through a death, but he's just decided to stop. And I like Sam Neill's way of thinking. I thought it was very interesting because maybe it's like he needs acting to remind himself of a motivation.
Right.
And I feel like that's a very good way to cope with what you have. It's a very smart way, I think. So either way, I respect both of them as actors, and not only actors, as people. I think it's a very good decision that they both made.
Right.
Very calculated decision.
I mean, when considering, what people's dreams are, whether they want to live the rest of their lives following that dream or not is entirely up to them, and Michael Caine and Sam Neill have both shown us two sides of the same coin. Anyway, I think it's reached that time where we need to start talking about movies out this weekend. The biggest movie we need to discuss today, Brandon, is Killers of the Flower Moon, directed by Martin Scorsese. I'm pretty excited for that film. It's coming out this weekend. What do you think about it?
I've been excited for Scorsese's new opus, Killers.
Right.
I remember when it was originally starting to talk about being released on May, and then they set another release date, now October, when it's coming out soon. And everything, I've been super excited for this movie. I'm definitely going to watch it. I got into film, I would say a little more than 3 years ago, just shortly after The Irishman came out. And I missed major directors' releases, with Spike Lee and The Five Bloods, with Tarantino and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and of course with Scorsese and The Irishman. So I'm really excited to see Scorsese on a big screen, because with everything that he directs, with his epics and his narratives and his style and what I've watched on my home screen, converting into a theatrical screen, I'm really excited for that, because now that I have a more advanced intellect for film, seeing his style and everything being displayed is going to be really awesome for me.
Right, I mean, seeing that these long-time classics, these long-time directors that have been proving time and time again, that they are amazing, legendary filmmakers, seeing them release new things, especially in today's world, seems like a blessing almost, right?
Yeah.
Because you would think their filmographies could be reviewed as legacies, as relics of the past, but with these new movies, and especially Killers of the Flower Moon recently, you could see that today's world is still being directly influenced by men the likes of Martin Scorsese.
He's one of the greatest living filmmakers, and I hope he doesn't stop making.
Right.
And with that, thank you for watching the Film Digest. My name is Brennan Jimenez.
My name is Henry Gonzalez.
And we'll catch you up with Hollywood next week.